Joining me now on the Daily Ledger Page 5 beat from Nashville, Tennessee, economic analyst, hedge fund manager, and contributor to Forbes and other publications, Thomas Landstreet. Tom, all right, so if interest rates are at zero now what? Now what do you do? Because the market's tanking again. The long-term picture is debt-ridden, as we have talked about. What does the Fed do if there is an actual, and I hate to say that, but an actual emergency, economic emergency of some kind?
Well, first off, this is an emergency. Can I go back to your last segment? You were complaining that the government was intervening in our lives to try to keep us separate. I actually think that that's one of the rare moments when I think I need my government. I need my police, and I needed them to be sober and serious about the real threats to this infection, which, by the way, is genuinely very, very risky, very contagious. The numbers are shocking. It's a fact. They should have been there earlier. They should have been prepared. That's what I want my government there for. Now let's go to the Fed. They're behind the curve. You know, I can blame Janet Yellen for this. Back in 2012, in order to bail out Obama's lame-o economy, which, by the way, was growing at barely 1%,
right,
she goes and acts QE 2, 3, and 4. So in other words, when times are not disaster, in other words, when times are not calling for it, she went ahead and used a number of the Fed's tools. So now that we really need it, Graham, we don't have it.
Right.
So now they're using a blunt object, and that's what scares me. It was what they did back then. And you were right earlier, by the way, to call out Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and the Community Reinvestment Act and what it did to create the '08 crisis. They've created this one too. And you can look at Yellen's behavior on QE when it was not needed. And now we don't have the dry powder, and we really are facing a crisis.
Two things scare me with the lower rates, too, and that, again, we've talked about on this program before, but I'll say it again, and that is the debt. If you have these ultra-low interest rates, in the end, when this calamity is over, these companies are going to be borrowing more because of these lower interest rates, but also the federal government. The federal government is going to be apt to be shoveling more debt on the debt.
That's correct. Every analysis that I read about this situation, they fail to mention the elephant in the room, which is, as we've said, 60% of NASDAQ companies have junk bond rated debt. We have a record number of companies with triple B debt about to be downgraded, and there's some big ones like GE, Boeing, and Ford. So you're right. Debt's the problem. That's the issue, and they're only going to incentivize more of it. We are in a calamity. I'm worried it's a depression. You know how bearish I've been. I'm still bearish, Graham. This is not going to blow over. How's the market going to react, for instance, when we are literally in lockdown in 2 or 3 weeks, when everybody's literally in lockdown? I don't think it goes up.
I think it's coming. And that recession that the mainstream media had been cheering for about 6 months ago didn't look like it's on the horizon. Well, maybe they got it. And maybe they got it because of the panic they're instilling in Americans, partly. Thomas, thank you.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.